Shortly after 1 o'clock today, as you know, two of our officers were working a traffic accident on the street just behind me, and two citizens came running to them, telling them that there was trouble in the theater, that a person was there in a threatening manner. They immediately ran to the theater, put that information out on the radio. They were joined by a third officer. They immediately made entry. One of the officers actually engaged the suspect. There was an encounter. He saw a gun come up. He saw a trigger about to be pulled. He disengaged. The officers gathered outside, made sure that the persons inside the theater could exit safely. We're preparing to enter. The patrol officers were preparing to enter when SWAT team members arrived. So they merely secured the theater. The SWAT team started to make entry. As they were making entry, the suspect went to the back door, exhibited himself several times at the back door to the officers. When he came at them in a threatening manner, they opened fire. The suspect is deceased. Suspect is approximately 29 years old, we think. We have not actually confirmed the identity. We're working on that. What I need to say about this is because of the extraordinary work of these officers, their bravery, their training, the way they reacted, we have no major injuries to any civilian personnel. One gentleman was slightly injured. He had a cut across his shoulder from the axe that the suspect was carrying. Some of his family was pepper sprayed. Apparently that pepper spray had some sort of red dye in it. Initially we thought that it might be blood, but it turns out it was just some sort of red dye. Again, the men and women on this police department trained constantly for this. On a national level, we look at what's going on. We take cues from other police departments, attending training sessions. So the tragedies in Aurora or Newtown or the Naval Yard, we have taken lessons. And our training academy works very hard to maintain a level of training so that any group of officers that show up on a particular situation are able to work as a team. Our training division personnel have actually used the old abandoned Bellevue Mall and various school buildings and various other businesses across town to practice these techniques. Again, because of the extraordinary efforts of the men and women of this police department, and especially the ones that responded to this call, we have no major injuries to anyone. We're not aware of anyone with him. There was approximately 8, we're not sure the exact number, but maybe 8 people inside the theater, including him. We have not identified anyone that might be with him at this time. Again,
Chief, can you go over the incident where the officer confronted the suspect and they were back and forth? Were shots actually fired in that encounter?
Shots were fired,
and can you relay that up by who? Did the suspect ever fire at the officer?
We're not sure at this point. The investigation is still unfolding. We have not processed the inside of the theater at this point. We're working on the outside, but at some point we'll know more and we'll know exact details. But at this time, we do not know exactly.
But we know the officer fired.
We do know that. We do know that.
And when the suspect left the theater outside and turned and threatened the SWAT team, did he fire at the SWAT team, sir?
I do not know that at this time. But again, they engaged him with fire. We do not know if the officer that fired in the theater actually hit him or not. We do not know that at this time. That's something we'll be able to determine at a later date. We had some erroneous information based on a sighting, and we identified someone, but that is not the person. The person we're working very hard to exactly confirm the identity before we release it, before we notify family members. But we believe the suspect is 29 years old.
Just about his...
He's a male white. He is from this area.
Do you know what type of firearm he is?
At this point, we've not located the firearm. They're still processing the crime scene back there. Again, as we're able to go inside the theater, look around, and completely process it, we'll know more.
Do we even know if he had a firearm?
The first officer saw a firearm, yes, sir. I do not. We had some information that someone saw him, but again, I think that we may attribute that to the first information about the 51-year-old individual. So in fact, we do not have any information at this time. Detectives all across are looking at every business. We have people downloading video that might be available from some of the businesses. So again, this will be pieced together piece by piece, slowly as we go along. And this is preliminary information at this point.
Chief, can you describe the firearm, a high-powered handgun?
I do not know at this time. You know, the officer was engaged in what he considered to be a firefight starting to occur. So he immediately backed out and to get assistance. So we have his account at this point, but he cannot exactly describe the weapon at this time.
What is the challenge in identifying the suspect? Do you know to have an ID on him, or what?
He has an ID on him, but we want to make sure that through fingerprints and other identification that we can exactly confirm his identity before we release it and before we notify the family.
Chief, can you describe what he was doing to the patrons in there at this time? Best as you know, when the officer walked in, what had he done to those patrons? How was he threatening them?
You know, at this time, we are interviewing the patrons of the theater, and we'll find out more. But we know at least that he used the axe in some threatening manner, actually striking one individual and was pepper spraying people. But at this point, I do not know exactly what he was doing that alerted people to call for help, to run to our officers for help.
Did he say anything that would indicate why he was doing this?
I do not have that information at this time.
Do you still believe he had two backpacks on him? I know one was detonated. Were both taken care of?
He had two backpacks on him. The one that remained on his person had what you might term a hoax device. It was a device configured to look like an explosive. It was not. The backpack inside had nothing in it that was harmful in any manner.
Okay, everyone?
Just really quickly, we're hearing also that he might have actually tried to get into the movie theater before the shooting took place. Do you know anything about that?
I do not have any information that
Our
would.
information is we did buy a ticket.
He did buy a ticket.
That's what our information is. We did buy a ticket.
Were employees alerted at all to knowing that he had a backpack on him, sort of satchels on him, with an axe or anything like that? Did he get to the library first and warn them that something was happening?
We think at this point someone at the library ran over to the library and warned the people there. We don't have any information that he actually went to the library at this point.
How did he get here to the theater?
At this point, we have not confirmed that. We're searching for vehicles, and that'll be a determination we have to make at a later date.
What would you like to say to the general public who are concerned about going to the movie theaters, Louisiana now this? Would you like to say anything to the public?
Well, I think to the general public that anywhere we gather, there is likely to be an incident, and obviously in this day and time we need to be mindful of our circumstances. We're mindful of our surroundings, but this is maybe what we call the new normal, and we can't just shut down America. We can't say we're not going to theaters. We can't say we're not going to church. We carry on, but we need to be very mindful of our surroundings as we do that.
There's a guy from out of town, the library. Where's the library that you described?
It's in this general area. It's behind you.